Good morning, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Sixguns Network Facebook page. You are tuning in to another episode of Coffee with Slick Sixguns. So, whatever you got, doesn't have to be coffee. It can be anything. We got all sorts of stuff that we're going to be talking about. But the important thing is that we have another gun to talk about. So that's going to be great. Make sure that you guys get out your drink, have a drink with me, whatever it is. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's good. All right. So, it's been a while since I've done one of these, but nonetheless, we're going to try and keep on task here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Revolver. It's not from a historical standpoint, but more or less from a personal standpoint. I'm going to talk to you about how much I got it for, why I got it, what I think of it in my opinion, and also just show you what this thing looks like. And, so let's kind of get right into it, if you will. So, here she is. The Colt Frontier Scout Buntline. Very neat. Something you don't really see every day. And I have never actually had a Buntline before. But the fact that I was actually able to find one in a Revolver that I specifically was looking for was just kind of interesting, to say the least. So, with that being said, of course, I gotta do it on camera because I don't know what anyone is gonna say. But just to let you know, all this stuff has been safety checked, but I'll do it just for you. Here you go. And we are all clear. Okay. So, let me go ahead and just kind of give you a quick overview of this Revolver, just kind of show you what it looks like up close and in person. We've got what looks to be actual ivory grips. If I'm not mistaken, somebody please correct me if I am wrong. And we got a blued back strap here. We got a nickel cylinder and frame and barrel. Pretty much everything else is nickel except for the grip frame here. And it's just kind of neat. It is a 22. I'll show you that. So, this isn't a big bore revolver here. This is a 22 caliber. And you'll notice that it does not have a firing pin. The firing pin is actually in the frame. So just kind of a neat derivative from what Colt normally does. And it does have the markings of a Colt, by the way. It's got the pony on it. And it actually says up here, if you can see it, Colt Single Action Army Buntline. Don't know if you can see that. And then you got the address, Samuel Colt, all that stuff. And I think something that's kind of interesting is on the ejector rod. It's actually got a it's actually got the words Colt written on it. I think that's kind of neat. That's something you really don't see in a standard Colt, but this is not super standard, so just something that's interesting. And as I said, it's a Buntline model, which typically coincides with a longer barrel. This barrel is at least 9 inches, if not greater. I have not double checked it, so just keep that in mind. You got a small bore there. The front sight, and you got a little flaking on the nickel. The front sight really isn't that great. Somebody probably didn't treat it well, or it got banged up pretty good, or whatever. It doesn't have any adjustable sights on it. And you'll notice there's a couple things that are slightly different other than the caliber and the barrel. is you're going to notice that the cross pin actually is you push it from the other side compared to a regular Colt model, the single action Army. You may not be able to notice that from the camera angle, but at least on the Colts that I have used, I don't push from this side. I usually push from this side. So that's just kind of interesting. And then on top of that, you're going to notice that there aren't the typical 3 screws here. You're normally, on a normal Colt, you're going to see the bolt screw, the trigger screw, and the hammer screw. You know, the bolt screw is typically here, trigger screw is right here, and then your hammer screw is right there. But typically you see 3 and you only see 2. So I'm curious to see on the inside what this thing looks like. So just kind of interesting there. So let me give you one more once over just so you can kind of ogle at it, take a look at it, enjoy it. I'm sure it's pretty interesting to you here. There you go. Go to the other side. Once again, you know, I think these are ivory grips, but go ahead and let me know. Frontier Scout Buntline model. On the barrel it says Colt Single Action Buntline Scout 22 Long Rifle, just to let you know. But also, I just think they're pretty neat, you know. So I've kind of showed you a little bit about the Revolver as far as what she looks like. You've gotten a good up close and personal. The serial number on it is 5,000, or should I say 5335 kilo, or K. So, you know, 5,335 kilo is what it is. The manufacturing puts it at about 1962 with the serial number. So I have checked that. You can check it if you want. But yeah, Colt Frontier Scout, interesting. Very nice. So let's talk a little bit about what I paid for it. So to be honest with you, this kind of comes from a bit of a personal story here. I was looking for a Colt Frontier Scout, you know, and I've always wanted one. And to be honest with you, I've been you know, looking at all the popular sites to include Gunbroker and all that. And I can't find any of them for under about $600 at street price. You know, obviously if they're in better condition, you know, and maybe a special set, you're looking at upwards of that, maybe $1,000 at least. All right, but this was a lucky find for me. So I'm going to start off by saying that. A lot of you guys who have been following my channel know that I spend quite a bit of money on the revolvers or on the weapons that I purchase. And this one is kind of an exception. Actually, you want to know something funny is there's a famous manufacturer that usually does a lot of 22 single actions is going to be Heritage. And the funniest thing was I actually found this cheaper than a Heritage revolver. Yes, you heard me. I couldn't believe it myself. I found this revolver cheaper than a Heritage revolver. Don't ask me how that happened. It's not that they didn't know what they had. You know, they knew all the markings. They knew what they had. They had it labeled as a Colt. I thought that was interesting. And lo and behold, $250. $250 for a Colt Frontier Scout. Interesting. So much so that I had someone call me. Anyway, I just could not believe that. So I honestly had to, because I knew I was never going to find it. I just had to drop the money for that. So $250, well spent, in my opinion, for a Colt Frontier Scout. Great. Have I shot this thing? Yes, I have. I have to say that, you know, the longer barrel is something that I'm going to have to get used to. But I will say that weight-wise, it doesn't feel much different than a typical, you know, Colt single-action Army. It still feels lighter, even though the barrel is longer. You know, the pointability is pretty cool to me. It did actually come with its own holster. Not that the holster is super period correct. It is leather, but you know, it's got more of a modern flair to it, but it does fit the barrel, so that was kind of nice. You know, the fact that I dropped that much money and then it came with a barrel. I mean, came with its holster. It's great. So yes, I have shot this, went out and test fired it, and she works great. You know, definitely the action is pretty strong. I don't have a lot of issues that I can see yet. I just see that it's got some aesthetic dings on it, which, you know, it's neither here nor there. So that's awesome. Why'd I get it? Well, I know that when it comes to some SAS competitions, they typically do have some 22 side matches that you can shoot. I don't know if they necessarily have a barrel length that's going to keep that from happening with this revolver, but that was something that I kind of got it for, so I thought that was kind of neat. So I decided to try to find a 22 that could match that side matches. Now, whether I have to get two or not, I'm not sure. But I at least have one. So there you go with that. So that's why I got it, you know, was specifically for some type of side match. And obviously I did want a Colt specifically. Not that I couldn't buy a Heritage, not that I didn't want some type of revolver like that made by another manufacturer, but I specifically wanted the name of Colt attached to the 22 revolver I was holding, so that's what I had to go with. Getting down to kind of my opinion of this thing, I will say that it, you know, I mean, it's 1962, you know, it's not a 100-year-old gun, so it's not showing that type of age, but I will say that it is showing its age, with the nickel kind of flaking, and you got a little bit of some dings and scratches on it. Whether these are the original grips, they look like it, but I'm not sure. They may have been replacement grips. Either way, they're still good-looking grips to me. I'm not going to change them at all. You know, she shoots great. I like it. I haven't tested the action about that, so I think that's kind of neat. You know, and to carry this thing around in its holster, well, you know, 9 inches of a barrel is not the most ideal, but you don't really get this because it's ideal. You get this because it's just something that's cool, you know? So, just very interesting. I'll go ahead and show you guys one more time here what she looks like. Very pretty. There you go. All right, well, anyway, that concludes this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.